How's it going, guys? Today I want to share with you my thoughts on the RT660s from Falken. I've had them on the car for all of 2022, which included about 20 autocross events. No track days, just all autocross, and some daily driving in there to and from events, and to maybe a couple cars and coffee events in there too. Nothing major, so mainly just autocross usage, and they have about 235 runs on them. So let's dig into the actual video, which was shot right before I was getting them replaced with my new Yokohama A052s. Alright, so the first thing that comes to mind when people talk about tires is definitely their tread life. These tires are basically crazy in terms of their tread life for a 200 tread bar tire. These ones are just down to the wear bar, and they still have tread on them. Are they going to pass inspection? Probably not, and that's why I'm having them replaced, as well as getting a little bit more grip in terms of autocross back. However, they've just lasted and lasted and lasted like the Energizer Bunny, and they actually have 239 runs on them, which is hard to believe. It sounds nuts, but at least on this BRZ here, low camber car, it's a DS car, it is, just outlasting these tires. I've been rotating them on a regular basis, and the fronts and the rears are basically identical at this point. I rotated them 4 or 5 times throughout the season. I got about 25 events or so on them, and that was dual driving a couple events with my co-driver, obviously, and they've just been lasting and lasting and lasting. Now let's talk about the bad with them, because honestly, I'm not really impressed. The price is there. They're relatively cheap when you look at the RE-71RS, which seems to be the new top dog, and the Yokohama A052s, which ironically I actually have sitting in the back there waiting to go on, like I said, in about an hour. I had those tires before, and let me just say that I've gotten much better times on the A052s versus the Falkens here. I think what absolutely killed me on the Falkens was the heat cycling ability that they kind of don't have, actually. It seemed like after about 125 runs, definitely 150, I know that's getting up there, but 125 runs, they really started kind of falling off. 150 and beyond, they just kind of tanked like the old RE71R did, not the RS. And even in their prime, I wasn't really impressed with them. My times definitely suffered compared to the A052s that I had in 2021. I ran these all of 2022, and I definitely struggled to get back to that quarter mark. I don't think I ever made it, and a lot of times I was actually closer to half or below in terms of PAX rankings. We have a very competitive region, and obviously this is a DS car, and it is not really a DS car, if you know what I mean. It's a little down on power, and it's going up against the second gen ones and the Civic Type R and Elantra N at this point. The times just really suffered, and like I said, I got really frustrated with them. You couldn't launch off the line on these rears, especially in the cold. I had a cold event here in April just to kind of burn them up, and they were absolutely terrible getting off the line. I know the A052s would launch a little bit differently. These ones, I hate how they launch. I hate how they corner. Like I said, they lasted. I'll give them that, but everything else I kind of really disliked about them. The price was good. I think I got them for about $650 or so, whereas I think the Yoks now are around $1,000, and the RE71RS are also $1,000. But I'll be completely real, you should probably just pay a little bit more. It might be $200 or $300 more, depending on your size, maybe a little bit more. I think all prices of tires went up recently here, even the Falkens, so I don't think the Falkens are $650 anymore. I'd have to really look at the prices, but I think it's definitely better if you're going for any sort of times, if you're even being remotely competitive, intermediate driver, definitely if you're a competitive driver, to 100% get the Yokohamas or the Bridgestones. Now I know that's going to make some people mad, I get it, but at least in terms of an autocross tire, these, I don't know, they're a little bit lackluster for me. If you were definitely doing some track days in there and you needed something that lasted maybe a little bit more than the A052s or the RE71RSs, I think these can fit the bill for sure. If you were doing kind of like a dual dual everything, if you're kind of daily driving, track day, I think a lot of track people really like these tires. So, if you're more into the track side of things and you need something that's going to last a little bit, these are probably the ticket. But for, autocross only, I think there's two better options out there. Now, of course, if you're, not being super competitive, if you're more of a novice or maybe a lower intermediate driver, or maybe even just an intermediate driver, you may want to just get more runs out of your tires and, save some cost. That's definitely an option. But, if you're really going for times, these are kind of not the ones for you. If so, you're going to have to replace them every, 100 runs or so. And maybe if you're only doing 100 runs per season, maybe that works for you. Maybe you like to, daily drive a lot and you want them to last, but you also want to get some times. But I kind of feel like also if you're daily driving them, you're going to wear them out in terms of heat cycles, and then your times aren't going to be competitive. So you might be wondering, why did I get these tires in the first place? Well, whenever I went to go get the Yokohamas last year, they were actually up in price by I think like $200-300. So I kind of caved a little bit and I said, you know what, these are pretty good. I see a lot of other people running them. They're probably going to be pretty good. And that was before the RE-71RS really kind of came around. And once that started coming out, a lot of people that needed something to fit on a camber limited car really started going to those. And the Yokohamas and the RE-71RS are definitely the top tires now, and these ones kind of went by the wayside. I'm seeing a whole lot less people use them, and it's really only SSC cars at this point, and maybe a couple other people that want to save a bit of money. In terms of their driving characteristics, at least on this rear-wheel drive, lightweight BRZ that doesn't have a whole ton of camber, honestly, I kind of really didn't like them. It was kind of hard to put the power down. Like if you tried to put the power down, when you really shouldn't, they really kind of bit you. They just the rear end kind of went out on you. And it really wasn't progressive. I think at least with the Yokohamas, it was a little bit more progressive. And with these, it just kind of slid out. They didn't give you a lot of audible feedback, to be completely honest. And I really like that with the tire because it lets me know if I'm on the limit or not. One thing they really don't like are kind of multiple inputs at the same time. And I don't mean double inputs. I don't mean turning the steering wheel twice, even though they kind of don't like that either. They don't like a lot of things, to be totally honest. You can tell I'm really hating on these tires, but I'm trying to be, objective about it. But they really don't like braking and turning at the same time. And I used to drive a WRX before this, and that was how you drove a WRX. You actually, sometimes did like trail braking into a corner, and with these you can't trail brake. It kind of sucks. You can't dive into a corner a little bit hotter. When you're you're trying to go for times and you come in a little bit hot and you want to turn the wheel and also brake at the same time. They absolutely hate that, and the front end just kind of loses grip and you kind of plow a whole ton. Whereas on the other hand, the Yokohamas really hooked up when you did that. They really like double inputs, and that's kind of why I bought them again, because they kind of fit my driving style. I'd have to try the RE-71RS to see how that is. I see everybody, going to that early in 2023 right now. That seems to be the new hot tire. So to kind of sum it all up, would I get these again? No, not never. Not never, is that a thing? I would not get them again because they kind of just don't fit what I do. I do autocross, and I like to be at least semi-competitive, at least as competitive as I can be, with this car in DS. And these are not fitting the bill for me. If I was doing more track days, if I was doing, track night in America, once a month, if I was doing, high performance driver education events, sure, I think they'd be really good for that. If I was doing grid life, I think they're a really hot tire for grid life. A lot of people run them there. Sure, they're going to be great for that. And if you want to, obviously fit some autocross in there too, for just experience, they're going to get you there. But, if you're just doing autocross, if you're just going for times, even if you're going to have fun at autocross and you're getting up into that more competitive level, I kind of feel like these are just not going to fit the bill for a lot of people. I hate to be like that about them, because I know they're kind of like a budget tire, and I know a lot of people, used to kind of like them, but I think there's just better options out there, and I think you need to go after those options. I think, the Yokohama, if you got more camber, or if you like putting in double inputs, if you like, braking and trail braking in the corners. I think the Yokohamas do that really well. If you have a high horsepower car in the rear, I hear the Yokohamas put down power in the rear a lot better on even heavier cars. But I think the RE-71RS is kind of becoming the top dog. So I don't know. There's not really a place for these anymore unless you're doing more track day type things. Also, just small comments about them on the street. They're pretty stiff, they're pretty hard. They don't absorb bumps very well for the street, and it kind of sucks, whereas the Yokohama is very good at that. And even, the RE-71RS, I'm not 100% sure with those, but I know with the old RE-71Rs, they weren't bad on the street, but these are actually kind of bad. I don't really like them for that. So I can't even give them a good score, like kind of if you just want like a really sticky street tire, but you want to just like, live with a car day to day, they're not good for that either. And in terms of heat cycles too, if you're daily driving the car all the time and then you want to take it out and go for times, that's just really going to destroy the heat cycles on them. You're going to wear them out and you're not going to get competitive times. Whereas the Yokohamas seem like they go forever, and same with the RE-71RS.